Hi, my name is David. Once your Twin Troller X10 has arrived at your front door, there's a couple of things that you're going to need to do before you can actually hit the water, and we'll go over them in this video. So let's get started. The first thing that you're going to want to do is get your battery installed. If you haven't purchased a battery yet, you're going to need to get one. And I would recommend that you purchase one as soon as you order your boat so that you'll have it ready for you and charged up when your boat arrives. There's a couple different ways that you can go. We recommend that you go with a Series 29 Deep Cycle Marine battery. The one that I have in this boat right here is made by Interstate Batteries, and it's a great battery. I believe it's a model 29M. And regarding batteries, there's a couple things that you need to think about, and that is the smaller the battery, the shorter the runtime, and the larger the battery, the longer the runtime. So for example, this battery, the 29, which we feel is a really good fit for this boat, can go uninterrupted for 3 straight hours with both motors on full throttle for approximately 3 hours. Now, it's important that you understand how long that is. If you're going to go out fishing and you're going to be maneuvering around with the boat, and you need to position yourself and things like that, you are not going to be full throttle on the motors. In most cases, you're just using one motor at a time and moving around, things like that. Most of our owners can go several hours, 6 to 8 hours at least, on a full charge of this particular Series 29 battery. They don't have any need for a larger battery. But if you're in a situation where you are on a larger lake and maybe you need to take 20 or 30 minutes to travel to where you're going or something along those lines, you can consider getting a larger battery like a Series 31, or as another alternative, if you like, you can get a second battery and just put them in series. And all that means is that when, I'll show you in a second how to put the cables on, when you put the cables on and you have the second battery, you just run a jumper cable from the positive to the positive of the other battery and the negative to the other battery. So in theory, if you were to have 2 Series 29 batteries on your boat, you could go 6 hours full throttle with both motors, and the reality is that you're not likely going to need to do that. You will wear out before you'll run out of battery power to power your boat. So let's talk about how easy it is to set up the leads and whatnot to install your battery. I've installed this battery inside the battery box that comes with the Deluxe Fisherman model. If you are getting a standard model, I would seriously recommend, highly recommend, that you pick up this box that goes, that stores the battery, because it puts a nice lid over the top and things like that. But you will have a lead on each side, positive and a negative, from the motors. This, of course, on the right-hand side here is for the right motor. This on the left hand is for the left motor. And you've got red, which is positive, and you've got black, which is the negative. And to install it, it's really quite simple. All you have to do is you, of course, find the positive on the battery and the negative, and you are going to take the positive and stick it on there. You're going to take the negative, stick it over on here, and now we're going to take the other motor, and we're going to take the positive, and we're going to stick it right there. We're going to take the negative and stick it right there. Now some of you, most of you probably, especially the Deluxe Fisherman model people, you will have purchased a charger that goes with this boat. And I would recommend that you have that. It makes it really easy. I have it sitting on the side over here. And you can mount it if you want to. You don't have to necessarily mount it, but you can mount it in the boat here. Of course, this Surpass resin is solid. You can screw right into it. And if you do have a charger, you're going to want to add that to the cables here. Of course, you've got a red. In the case of this one, it's a yellow for the negative. So I'm going to go ahead and take the red, and I'm going to stick that on there. And then we've got these little wing nut screws, and just screw it on tight. And just clamp that thing down. And then let's go ahead and do the negative over here. And that's all there is to it. Was that easy enough for you? And of course, just, kind of just stick these cables in here as best you can so that you can put the lid on. You'll notice that the lid has these little openings for the cables. So you want to position the cables where those openings are and then go over the top of it. One other thing I want to point out that you may want to do, I would highly recommend it, head over to an auto parts store or Walmart or something like that and pick up a can of this battery corrosive, preventive corrosion spray, and then just take that and spray it. I've already sprayed it. That's what all that red stuff is on there. I just spray it on there, and that'll help keep the the terminals in good condition. And one other thing I mentioned earlier about the size of the battery and putting it in series, if you are someone that thinks you're going to need extra battery power and you want to put multiple batteries, you can just get another battery, another case, set it right next to it here, and run a jumper cable, which is just get a good solid wire with the same terminals as this, those little round terminals, and put it on here with the positive, and put it on the positive of the next battery. Same thing, put it on the negative, put it on the negative of the next battery, and your charger will charge both batteries like it's one battery. And so you can theoretically, if you had two Series 29, like I said before, two Series 29 interstate batteries, you could go 6 hours full throttle on the motors with this boat, which means you could go for a long time. Next, let's talk about getting the seats on. Okay, what are we missing here? Looks like we need some seats, right? The seats is actually the only thing that you're going to have to assemble when your boat arrives, and it's really simple. It's only 8 screws on each seat, which you're actually attaching the seats themselves to the supports that actually slide into the rails on the boat. And it's really quite simple. It's not rocket science by any means. You've just got 4 bolts that are going to go in, and you've got you just tighten these in, and you're going to have to mount these other screws to the seat. So you're talking about 8 here on each seat, and it's very easy to do. All you need is a simple wrench and piece of cake. Once you've done that, installing them on the boat is really easy, and you may find yourself taking them off and on if you like to go out by yourself or something like that and you don't want to have both seats in the boat. All you have to do, you turn it over, and in the rails, you'll notice that there's some space up in front of the boat where you can actually, as I've done, I've set the seat here and it's not even in the rails. So you've got room to put it in front, and you just slipped the 2 supports right into these rails, and you just slide it back. And look how easy it slides, piece of cake. And you've got, of course, multiple positions for the motors. You've got one position for the back here, and you've got multiples in the front. If you want to operate from the back, you can go as far back as over the battery if you wanted to. Down actually all the way there. This is actually kind of a fun place to be because you can sit here and fish out the back and stuff, but that's a whole other thing that you'll learn and have fun with. So that's the first seat. If I want to install the second seat, all I got to do is grab the second seat, install it the same way I installed the first one. And there I've got it. Both seats are installed and ready to go. Now let's talk about the foot pedals. Let's get those going. Let me introduce you to your new best friend, your pedals. And I really mean that. You're gonna love these things. These pedals are one of the things that makes this boat so unique, and you're just gonna absolutely love them. So here's what you do with them. First thing, these pedals are water resistant, meaning when you have them in the boat, if water's splashing or something like that, you're going to be okay. Don't worry about that. They are sealed in here. But you want to make sure that they do not get submerged, meaning don't let them fall out the boat. Be careful when you're transporting them out of the boat. Just don't let them submerge in water, because the electrical components, obviously electrical components and water don't go good together. Next, you're going to have to figure out where you want to put them, and that you can change it. Move them around to whatever suits your needs. You have multiple options on the front, and you actually have an option as well on the back if you want to operate it from the back. And once you've positioned them where you want, there's just little slots in here that sits right in. Once you position that, you just need to plug in the connectors for the motors, and it's very simple. It's just go like this. Each motor's got the cables coming right into this connector. It's a little 4-prong connector, and it goes in real simple. You'll notice there's a notch on one side of the connector, and that is actually on the bottom, so you're going to see round on the top. You simply just pull back the cover, and you just slide it right in there. When you plug it in, be careful, don't push on the motors. You're not going to break anything, but we don't recommend that you run these motors when they're dry or, sitting, not in the water yet, and you don't want to be doing it while you're in the water too, because the boat's going to move. Just reach back here and push it in without touching the pedals. And then you do the same thing, of course, for the other. Remember the notch on the bottom. Reach back here, just careful not to push the pedals, and you're good to go. And of course, I mentioned before that you can, decide where you want to have this. I've got it in the back position on the front, and then you've got some other slots as well. The first thing you want to do when you get in the water, so you've got your boat in the water, you've got your pedals plugged in, you're ready to go, you need to do what we call priming the motors. And what that means is that there's the hulls, as you know, the motors are recessed inside the hulls, which is one of the other things that makes this boat so great. When the boat gets in the water, it's going to be sitting up a little bit. The first thing you want to do is get in and go full force forward on both motors. You can go backward as well, but ideally just go forward. It's not going to hurt the motors all. It should be more efficient if you go forward. Go full forward, and you'll hear air coming out and bubbles coming out of the back of the boat. And when the water has all been sucked up into the hull, it'll all of a sudden go quiet and you'll sink down a little bit, which is kind of neat. So it'll just kind of go down a little bit, and it'll be real quiet, and it'll be working very well. So that's the first thing that you're going to want to do. Operating the boat is very simple. You've got two motors, of course, one on your right, one on your left, and they go forward or they go backwards. So if you're sitting in the boat this way and you want to go a little bit to the left, all you have to do is take your right motor and go forward with it, and you will gradually make a turn to the left. If you want to go gradually to the right, you just do the reverse of it. You take your left motor, you go forward, and it'll gradually go to the right. What makes this boat really great is when you're trying to maneuver your position and what you're doing. So you've got wind at your back or something like that, and you want to keep your position, you can of course go backwards as well. So if you want to make a hard right turn, you can go forward with your left motor, with your left foot, go backwards with your right foot, and you will make a turn, a sharp in-place turn to your right. And of course, if you do the reverse of it, forward with the right, back with the left, you'll make a hard spin to the left. And then of course, if you want to go backwards, just go backwards with one or both motors, or forwards with one or both motors. It gives you unprecedented maneuverability in a fishing boat. So you're going to love these things. I could go on and on about it. You're going to love these pedals, and it might end up being your favorite part of the boat, of course, other than catching the fish. The last thing that you're going to want to do before you actually go in the water is install the drain plug in the back. It's in the back left side of the boat, back behind the battery. And it's really easy to put in. Well, first thing I should mention that if you happen to not put this in and you accidentally get the boat in the water, your boat's not going to sink, don't worry, but you do want to get it plugged in before you start heading out. And it's really easy to operate. Those of you that are familiar with these things, there's no surprise, but those of you who are not, the way it works is that if you're looking down on it and you screw it clockwise, there's a piece here that shortens this or squeezes against this rubber, which fattens it, okay? So what you want to do is you want to go counterclockwise just enough to be able to actually put it in the hole. And then once you get it in the hole, and it'll be sitting in the hole like this, just turn it clockwise a couple times. And when you do that, you'll feel it tightening up a little bit, maybe even just once, just maybe one turn. And then after that, you're going to push it down, which means you're going to just push it down like this, and it'll fatten it just a little bit more, and it'll be sealed in there real good, and no water's going to come up through and be sloshing around in the boat. Well, that's it. Were you expecting it to be more difficult? All I can say is enjoy your Twin Trawler X10, the world's best fishing boat. Take care.